I'd like to welcome you guys to my YouTube channel. Do me a favor, subscribe, and turn on notifications so that you can get all of the latest videos when I publish them about how I cook in my kitchen at home. I'm going to show you guys how I make pizza dough from scratch. This is the second video in my 3-part video series on making pizza at home from scratch. And I like to show you the easiest pizza dough there is. I got this recipe from a friend, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to make delicious pizza dough at home. Once you have this pizza dough and this pizza that when we put it together, you'll never want to eat pizza from takeout places ever again. Stay tuned. All right, guys, here is our set of ingredients. The first thing for your pizza dough, you're gonna need a good flour. I like King Arthur all-purpose flour for my pizza dough. You're gonna need 4 cups of this, and it makes a delicious pizza dough. Has the right texture, right bite to it once the pizza is baked. It's delicious. I also have a pinch of salt here. This is about a tablespoon of salt. We're gonna use that. We have, as our leavener, we've got some yeast here. So I want you guys to see this. We're gonna use this yeast. This is Fleischmann's active yeast, the original. It's a dry yeast. We're gonna use that to make our actual leavener for the pizza dough. We've also got some olive oil. If you watched my last video, I talked about how you can use the olive oil in the pizza dough. We're gonna use some of this. We're probably gonna use about close to 3 tablespoons of this in our pizza dough. And then lastly, I've got about 2 cups of water here. And you, depending on your atmosphere, your climate, where you're at when you make this pizza dough, it can take all 2 cups of this in addition to what we're gonna add in from the activated yeast, or it could take a little bit less, but it's totally up to you. You just have to watch it, and I'll show you what we're talking about when we put the dough together. All right, so we've got to put our dough together, and this is the fun part. This is probably the hardest part of the whole process, and this isn't hard at all. I've got my KitchenAid mixer, and you can see that I've got it fitted with my dough hook. I've got my 4 cups of flour here. This is King Arthur all-purpose flour, and I'm going to add it to my mixing bowl. So we just want to add this in here. Take your time, that way you don't get flour over everything. So then I lower down my mixer and I lock it in place. If you don't have a KitchenAid mixer, that's fine. You can use a food processor. You can even do this by hand if you've got the time. All you gotta do is take it and mix it together, as I'm gonna show you here how to do this. The next thing I wanna do, oh yeah, let me put this back up here. Next thing we wanna do is we wanna add in our salt. I didn't mention this in my ingredient list, but this is one of my favorite little secrets in the kitchen. This is accent. So we're gonna use this to help flavor the actual pizza dough. It gives it a little bit of a savory flavor, some umami. So I'm only gonna put in here about, probably about half a tablespoon. So that was a tablespoon of salt I put in earlier, about a half a tablespoon of this accent. If you're salt sensitive, accent is sodium. So if you're salt sensitive, please don't use it. And you can cut back on the salt too in the pizza dough. You don't even have to put the salt in the pizza dough. But I find that it adds a nice flavor to my actual dough. All right, so the next thing is I'm going to add some activated yeast. So we're going to take our activated yeast and we're going to put it in here. You just want all that in there, get all that goodness in there. Yeah, we want all of this in there. Perfect. Take that set to the side. And now what we're gonna do here is we're gonna turn and lock our mixer in place. Like I said, if you don't have a KitchenAid mixer, you can use a food processor. You can use your hands to do this. You can use a wooden spoon. All you're trying to do is combine the wet ingredients with the flour. And now I said we're gonna put in about 3 tablespoons of a good olive oil. A good olive oil, not, you know, I'm not telling people what to buy, but a good olive oil. You see the brand here, a good olive oil. So we're gonna put in about 3 tablespoons. And you just wanna pour this slowly. You don't wanna pour this too fast. And you kinda wanna pour it on the edge. If you're trying to watch your weight, put in less olive oil, that's fine. And now, here's the last part of our dough. This is the water. So I'm gonna come in here and put this water in slowly and watch it kind of take shape. This is just regular water, it's not warm. And so what I like to do is kind of come along the edge and wash some of the flour down on the edge of the bowl. And you see, I haven't used all 2 cups of water. I'm just gonna watch my dough here as it comes together. I sped it up just a little bit. And I'm gonna just let this do its thing. And I think that's about right. Now, this dough is a little sticky, so what I'm gonna do is add a little bit of flour to make the dough ball come on together. So I'm gonna cut this off and put a little flour in there and turn it back on, and you'll see it come on together. So yeah, if you have this happen where your dough ball doesn't form a nice tight ball, that's fine. I'm gonna show you how to get this to work. So I'm gonna turn it back on, and I'm gonna just sprinkle in a little bit of flour at a time. I'm talking about like maybe a tablespoon of flour at a time. A little bit more, and you can see the dough ball begins to form when you do that. And there we go. That's my dough ball. You guys got a chance to see me fix some stuff on the fly too. All right, perfect. So you guys saw me put the dough ball together. So what I did was I got my cutting board out, and I used this for putting together my pizza dough. And I've got probably, I'd say, a 1/4 cup of flour on here. So now, let me show you what my dough looks like here in my bowl. And you can see, it's not sticky to my gloves, but to your hands, it's probably gonna be a little sticky, right? I just wanna show you this. And all I'm gonna do here is start by putting some of this flour onto my dough. And you can see here that as I touch it with the flour, it doesn't stick to my hands. And so what we're gonna do here is just kind of work our dough, right? And boom. And we fold it over itself. I pat it out. I come back and do it again. And fold it over itself, pat it out, come back and do it again. But now that I got this, right, fold it one more time, take this, fold it in one more time. And then now what I'm gonna do here to keep it from sticking, take me some more flour, the last little bit of my flour here, and I'm gonna kind of draw it into a ball right here. To a nice pretty ball. And then kind of roll it just one time here, just a little bit. There we go. And that is my dough ball for my pizza. That's us right there. Boom, beautiful. Okay, here's our last step. we gotta let our dough expand and rise. And so I got that glass bowl that I had earlier that had all that flour in, and I've got our good olive oil here. And I'm gonna take a little bit. I'll take probably just about, a tap. It was about a teaspoon, half a teaspoon of olive oil. And what I'm gonna do, I've got a paper towel here, and I'm just gonna take my time here and oil this glass. And the last thing I wanna do here is I take my dough ball that I've got, my beautiful dough ball here, right? And I'm gonna take this and lay it right in there. And what I wanna do here to keep it from drying out is I'm gonna take a little bit more olive oil and I'm gonna just kind of drizzle over here. Just a little bit more, not too much. And then what you can do here is just kind of work it around on your dough ball. So what I'm gonna do here is actually spin it over. That way it won't dry out. So I'm gonna wrap this and cover this bowl with some plastic wrap. I'm gonna take it and put it into my oven, and I'm gonna let the heat from the light bulb in my oven, not the actual oven being on, but the heat from the light bulb in my oven being on, cause the dough to rise and to proof. So I wanna do that, and I'll show you guys what it looks like when I get done. So the last thing I like to do here is take some pressing seal, and I'm just gonna seal up my bowl with my greased dough ball and this greased bowl, and let it just sit here and do its thing. We take this, we're gonna put that into my oven with the oven light on, and we're gonna let this rise and let that yeast work for about 2.5 to 3 hours. So once this is risen and doubled in size, then you're ready to start cutting your dough down into portions for your pizza. All right, so this dough has had a chance to rise and expand for about 2.5 hours. And so I'm gonna show you what this looks like. You can see how much larger it is. You see the air pockets developing there. It's just a beautiful dough. All right, guys, as you can see, making pizza dough, it's not that hard. It can look a little intimidating. It can look really complicated, but it really isn't. So yeah, that's the second video in my 3-part video series on how to make pizza from scratch at home. I'm Jamison, and this is how I cook. If you haven't seen the first video, please go check it out. And then stay tuned for the third video where I put the pizza together and I show you how to bake these easy pizzas at home. Thank you guys for watching. Please hit the subscribe button as well as turn on your notifications, and I'll see you guys soon.